Hey guys, welcome back to Roots from Refuge Farm. I'm sure it's not going to take you long to figure out that I am not currently in Arkansas, but South Carolina on our future farm property. I've been here for a few days, and the things that I've been doing, I wanted to share with you some cool stuff that's happened. The fact that we're starting this logistical process of getting a septic system, a well system, getting our electricity brought out. We actually had to go and apply for an address because this property didn't have a physical address. So I've spent the last like 4 days meeting with contractors and applying for permits and driving around this area of South Carolina, getting all this information together and applying for stuff. And I kind of want to just give you guys just some insight to the beginning of this process, of this journey of moving Roots and Refuge from Central Arkansas to South Carolina. Seeing as I'm about to head back to Arkansas and I won't be back for a few weeks, every time that I've come out to the property on this visit, I've made sure to water our tree. So I'm going to go ahead and get one more bucket of water out of the pond and make sure that we get this nice and watered before I leave again, because we definitely want this guy to survive. So let's do that. Because we don't have a well currently on the property, and we also don't have any other water source besides the ponds, when I first got to town I got this 5-gallon bucket so I could have something to grab water out of the pond to water it. I'm actually going to leave this here in this little outbuilding over here. Well, I've done all I can do on this trip. I made sure we got our tree watered. I've secured the property. I'm about to hook up to our trailer and head back to Arkansas. But I wanted to take some time to kind of go over what I accomplished this trip and what my tentative plans are over the next couple of months and the different trips I'm going to take to get us moved to this property. The main purpose of this trip was a lot of running errands, paperwork, applying for stuff, and meeting with contractors to get the first two big things we needed addressed. That is the septic tank and our well. I actually met with contractors, and we actually do have dates in place with contractors to get that stuff started and finished with plenty of time before we have to move. When we first started when I first started looking into applying for our septic permit, I got really overwhelmed, and I started to really stress out about all this stuff, and especially the timeline that we had now bumped up to the first week of August. And I got really overwhelmed one evening about 3 weeks ago and sat down for dinner, stressing out about the septic and the permit and how long all that was going to take, and then finding a contractor, and it was so much. But anyways, I sat down at dinner and I was just kind of overdrawn, stressed. My kids could tell, and they were just asking what was going on, and we were telling them that there was just a lot that had to be done, a lot of decisions and a lot of things that had to take place, and we were just feeling overwhelmed about the move. And so we just prayed as a family, and within 45 minutes we get a message from a viewer that watches the channel, and he actually told us right then, he's like, hey, I actually permit septic tanks for the state of South Carolina, and if you need any help, let me know. And he's been such a huge help. He, in the end, our county, which he works in a different county, but our county's office actually had him do our permit for us. So that was just this huge blessing. We were able to kind of get it done a lot faster, probably about 3 weeks faster than it would have taken if we had not had his help. And he did a lot of stuff on his own time, not even while he was working. So since then, me and Jessica both have just been in a different place of just not really getting to a place of too much stress and overwhelm thinking about all the details, because God's going to work it out. I really do believe that, and it's evident for me on things like that. And so coming on this trip was a logistical trip of lining stuff out, getting contractors lined up, talking about where we're going to put things and things like that. We had to apply for our permanent address because our property didn't have an existing structure, so it didn't have a physical address. So I've got that done. We've started the process for our electricity and getting some power brought out to where we're going to be putting the shop and the modular home. I've gotten a lot of progress done on the modular home side of things. Like, we should have a move-in date, which is going to be pretty close to when we're actually getting here. So there's just all this movement in that side of things. So now when I go home, I've got to start figuring out like what I'm going to bring back out here. So one thing that we decided a while ago is that any trip that I make out here over the next few months can't be empty-handed, which is why I've got the utility trailer behind me. I actually brought a load of stuff out to the property, of like the tractor attachments, our log splitter, things like that, because anytime that I come out here now, I'm gonna have to bring something, because and moving a farm, especially, the tractor and our lawnmower and just the different, the four-wheeler, things like that, like those are all going to take up space on the trailers, so it's going to take multiple trips anyways. And so now I've got like a logistical juggle going on of like, do I need to leave the tractor for a certain period of time to make sure we can, have it when we need it at the farm that we're at, but then also I'm going to need it here. So like, when do I take it? We're going to bring the camper out here and set it up on the property so I have a place to stay. So there's not a lot of good hotels around here. It's about 45 minutes, and so being 45 minutes away from the property, especially if I'm going to be out here trying to work on stuff over the next few months, that's just going to be really hard to make that trek back and forth. I think the next things that we're going to bring out is probably the camper, and then I'm going to bring the tractor. I think the next thing after that will be the tool trailer, and that'll give me enough time with the tool trailer at the current house to put some finishing touches on some of the stuff that I told Nathan and Jill that I'd finish. It's not much, but I am going to need some of my tools to do it. So once I get all three of those things out here, like, we have a lot of preparatory work to be able to move our animals out. The fencing on the property is not going to work for the types of animals we have. It's mostly a 4-strand barbed wire cattle fence, and we are going to be getting a cow, but we don't have a cow right now, and even after we get a cow, we're still going to have all of our goats and those things. So I've actually got to deconstruct a lot of the perimeter fencing and the different ways that they cross fence things for the cattle, because it's not really going to work for what we're doing. So the next trip will probably be, I'm going to bring the tractor out, and I'll probably be able to bring the camper out at the same time. I'm going to have my brother drive a truck with me and bring out the tractor, and I'll probably bring the camper on my truck. But we're going to start a deconstruction process. So we'll be taking stuff down that we're not going to be using, taking fences down that we want to move or redo. The trip after the deconstruction phase will be probably starting to build the new fences and gates, and we've got to build a driveway back to where we're going to be putting the modular home and the shop. I'm thinking loosely that I'll be coming about once a month for up to a week at a time. And so, let's say our June trip is going to be largely deconstruct to get ready to redo stuff. July should be our trip for the road or the driveway and building fences, and then also I'm going to have to do a little bit of revamp on some of the outbuildings that we have for them to function temporarily for a place for our goats and alpacas and stuff to get out of the rain. And so all that kind of stuff's going to happen, and then the next trip honestly will be pretty close to when we're bringing the kids out and have the house and all that done. So lots to do, lots of stuff to decide, but got a lot done on this trip. There's not a whole lot to show you guys because, like I said, this trip was mostly just running around and talking to people, meeting with people, and there's not anything that's changed. But I am about to hook this trailer up, and I'm going to head back to Arkansas and make preparations to start getting the next trip lined up for our fence line deconstruction and things like that. So almost forgot, there actually were a couple other things I wanted to share before I load up and head out. Is for those of you that have been following along with us, you know that we've had some serious internet issues at our current farm, and that it's been just a real point of frustration, especially when we were doing live videos. But even for Jessica, just doing what she does as her job is uploading and things like that, it's really hard when your business is focused through an internet connection, having a really unstable, inconsistent internet connection. And so that's one thing that we were like, man, we really want to do whatever it takes to get a solid internet connection whenever we move. And honestly, I didn't even ask about what the internet options were because the property was so pretty. I was like, we'll figure it out. But I just want to share you like the fact that like this is just such a confirming, cool thing that I found out is this area of South Carolina, which is very rural, actually has a fiber optic connection that can come to our property, and it will cost us a quarter of what we're currently paying for our slow, inconsistent DSL. So when we move here, we will actually have a very fast fiber connection internet at our property. Like, how wild is that? Like, when I told Jessica, I mean, she just like screamed exclamation excitement because it was just like, that is such a cool thing. I think there might even been a couple of tears, and it's crazy to have to cry over your internet connection, but well, like I said, when you're in our line of work, it can be such a point of frustration. And to know that like when we get here, we're gonna have this amazing gigabit internet connection. It's just crazy cool. So before we even, like, not only is this property amazing and exactly what we wanted, it even has the best internet connection that you can get for a very good price. So super cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about before I leave, I wanted to kind of share my experience with the state, like the people who live here and things like that. Like, ever since we've started coming and to get ready to move, we have been met with pretty much nothing except Southern hospitality, as they say. I mean, everybody is super friendly, super genuine, just kind. And it's crazy, like everybody seems to know everybody, and honestly, like I'm kind of excited that you know it may take a while for everyone to get to know us, but at least like my kids and my kids' grandkids will be a part of this like historical area that is like has lots of families that have been here for generations. And one thing we've talked about is legacy, and this is definitely a area where there are generational legacies set up and established for longer than some states have been states, like hundreds of years. It's just cool. But even cooler than that is just how well received we've been, no matter what place we've gone to, what store, what office, the post office. I mean, it didn't matter. Wherever we've gone, and where I've needed help, there has been somebody who is kind and welcoming us to South Carolina. I mean, even our real estate agent who helped us get into this property, I went by and met him for the first time face to face yesterday. He actually got like this really cool art piece for Jessica and me and for our house, welcoming us to the state of South Carolina. And actually, I think I've got them. I'm going to pull them out and show you guys. Now, if you guys are from this area around Columbia and the suburbs of that, like, you might know about this guy. Obviously, I'm just now getting introduced, but apparently he's called the Chicken Guy, and he's this artist that drives around and sells these chicken art on like street corners and stuff. Well, our now friend, real estate agent, got these for us as a welcome to South Carolina gift, and Jessica, being a person who just loves original art, like, is super ecstatic. And I told him, I said, these are going to be front row in our house, like right in the beginning, because I mean, she loves them. And it's also just cool because he's apparently like really popular in the local area. So our first two pieces of original South Carolinian art, and just, it's been such a great experience. Well, I made it home last night and everything was pretty much uneventful. One of the other things that we're having to work around is the fact that the bridge going from Arkansas to Tennessee, or one of the bridges, the one for I-40, is down, which is causing some traffic issues because everyone's having to divert to the I-55 bridge, which is the bridge that we actually use to go to South Carolina. So on the way there I had no issues, but on the way back yesterday it was pretty bogged down. And so other than that, it was pretty uneventful. I'm back, and then when we were getting through the footage of the video, I realized I forgot to sign off for you guys. But anyways, I'm here. Time to get to work on this property and get things figured out to make our next trip. So I bless you until next time.